Um, Well, hello, everybody, and thank you sincerely, all of our volunteer board members and our guests for joining us for this board education session. Maintenance matters, and it does. And we want to talk today about strategies and support. Oh, Joey's here. We want to thank all the board members for making time to attend. We know at MicroHOA, we know that you are dealing with maintenance responsibilities in your small communities. And even though we aren't on site with you, and our hybrid management doesn't provide that on-site support, we never want to just shrug our shoulders and say like, we don't do that to a need that you have. We always want to plug in to focus on educating you, informing you, and today connecting you with resources that help you protect your association, protect yourselves as board volunteers, and so that's what we're going to focus on today. A quick look at the agenda so you'll know what's coming. We're going to talk about determining what your maintenance responsibilities are, about project planning, and then about funding and responsibilities. Then after that, we're going to flip over to our guests. Our guests from Thumbtack. We want to bring you today two trusted maintenance solutions for you when you are looking for contractors. It's a question we get from our board volunteers really frequently is how do I do it and how do I know that this is going to be good and work? So we are going to introduce two solutions for you today that specifically support community associations, their boards, and your homeowners. So the first is Thumbtack, and that's the source. You guys may be familiar with the brand, but it's a source that helps homeowners, find local, vetted contractors to focus on bringing in reliable sourcing services. And now they are bringing all of their vast network to the HOA industry. They want to help boards find their resources better. And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to introduce you to our representatives from Thumbtack here in a second. And then we're going to have another thing on our agenda. Another guest is On-Call Pro. And that is a service that is a more robust, full service, end-to-end vendor or contractor management, project management solution. And that's for some of the bigger things, some of the reserve things, the capital projects that some of you have. So with that today, here on the screen and then somewhere here in your tiles is our webinar guests for today. From Thumbtack, we have Jeremy Osler, who is Thumbtack's business development manager, and Joey Albee, who has helped us out with putting this program together and is their partner success manager, all of us being their partners. So hello, Jeremy and Joey. You guys want to say hi to the crew?
Hello. I'll just do a quick intro. So I'm located in Utah. Been with Thumbtack. Next month will be 5 years, and I've been on both the pro side, bringing pros onto our platform to take leads, as well as partnerships, and been doing this about I think, since November of 24. I've been working on HOAs.
Thank you,
Cool.
Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'll take over a quick introduction here too. Hi, everyone. Joey here, based in Chicago, Illinois. I've been with Thumbtack for about a year and a half now, but been a customer success manager for high priority clients like Micro HOA here for over 10 years now. So happy to be helping with everything.
Thank you, you guys. And also with us, Sally Hamidi, who is the founder of On-Call Pro. And they are a more robust, as I said, vendor and project management solution. Sally, you want to say hi to the crew?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, everyone. My name is Sally Hamidi. I'm an industry veteran, about 15 plus years owning and operating HOA management company of my own, ran a maintenance company handling maintenance for HOAs. And I also am a fellow board member at one of the boutique DC buildings. So here to kind of explain what our process is, what value our platform brings to board members like yourselves, and how to make things more streamlined. So thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Sally. And you guys from the MicroHOA team. I can't see everybody. I'm Sean. We've met, hopefully all of you. Jessica McDermott, our extraordinary customer support manager, is here. I also think I saw, sorry, I can't see everybody, but I think I saw Josue Garcia, your accounts receivable person who's diligently working on answering your homeowners' questions. Alejandra Butanda, our insurance coordinator, and Wenys Diego, our onboarding specialist. There may be others. If so, we'll do a little credits at the end. But I do want to jump in and real quickly just engage you guys. I set up a little quiz, a little survey for you on the meeting to find out what your your HOA's needs are. So maintenance needs are. Oh, and hang on, I can't find my little my survey poll isn't showing up. Give me just a second, guys. Oh, there it is, polls. All right. So I'm going to launch a poll to you. It's going to show up on your screen or your phone. And it's just a quick question about what are the maintenance needs in your association. So what maintenance is your HOA responsible for? You don't have to choose just one. If there are additional, if you have multiple choices on here, you can choose those. So just pop in and look at, is your HOA have responsible for roofs? Are you taking care of exterior care, more robust exterior care? Are you doing landscape care or fencing? I know I'm seeing the list here. I know that there are people here that have roads and driveway, and I'm really glad you're here because these are helpful solutions for you guys who have more bigger maintenance responsibilities. Stormwater retention and pond maintenance is a big one, of course, everywhere now. All right, so that looks like almost everybody has participated. If you haven't, jump on there real quick before I close it. And then I'm gonna end the poll and kind of share so we all can get a sense of what this group, what's important to this group. Jessica, can you see the poll results on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So what maintenance? 69% of you guys have roof maintenance. So that's a very big project that you need, it's carefully select vendors for. Exterior care, same. Landscaping, I expected it to be number one, and it is. Almost every one of even our smallest associations share responsibility for exterior, landscape maintenance. Landscape contractors are probably our second biggest accounts payable, right behind insurance. So fencing, a lot of roads and driveways, some decks and exterior features, stormwater maintenance. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then, of course, landscape maintenance for common areas and for owners. A few amenities like pools or play areas. We don't have a lot of those in our small associations, but some do, and I'm glad you're here. And then gates and security features. Okay, so that's very helpful, you guys, and thanks for sharing that. I'm going to launch into our content. And as we go, please do use the chat if you have questions. And then we are going to do a question and answer session with our guests at the end of the program. So Jessica's going to be monitoring the chat. So first of all, let me get things where I can see what I'm looking at. All right. HOA maintenance is one of the most impactful and certainly one of the most visible elements to your associations. And we know that. We know that this is the time of year that people tend to look around and say, hey, board, we need you to pay attention to some of these maintenance things that we're seeing now that we're outdoors more. So that's why we want to bring some tools and resources to you for those needs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding what the HOA is responsible for, what your association is responsible for, and what you're not. One of the most common questions that boards have is can you help us understand who's responsible for what in maintenance? So the first thing to do if you're ever unsure about a maintenance responsibility is go to your community's governing documents, to your covenants, to your declaration, and to your bylaws. One of the things we would ask you, even if you already know what your maintenance responsibilities are, we've been surprised over the years that when a board goes and actually reads their covenants or reads their bylaws, that they find things that they either didn't know they were responsible for, or actually more frequently that they're covering in their HOA fees that are not included in their covenants. So both of those are kind of not ideal. The important thing to do is to define what the association really is legally responsible for and base your maintenance plan on that. Okay, so where do you find that? Where are your HOA's maintenance responsibilities outlined? They are outlined in your CC&Rs. That's the conditions, covenants, and restrictions is what that stands for. And some people call it a declaration, some people call it covenants. It's all the same thing. It outlines the physical responsibilities of your association. There's also, though, maintenance responsibilities outlined in your bylaws. So you really do have to check both. And this can get tricky for some people. So you review both your bylaws and your CC&Rs. In the CC&Rs or the covenants, you check under sections called common elements or general common elements. GCEs is what they are referred to. So those are the two things to look for. For condominiums, if you're in a condominium association, your GCEs are going to be likely to be a lot longer than a single family HOA, but it will be outlined in there under general common elements or common elements. So review the declaration, and then after you review the covenants and declarations, go to your bylaws. Go to your bylaws and see if there's a section that's called maintenance or maintenance responsibilities. And I'm going to show you an exhibit of one of those in just a second. And that it's usually way down deep in the bylaws. Typically, it's not going to be one of the first things that you see. So maintenance section of the bylaws, common element section of the covenants. And then I'm going to ask you to go to one more thing just to check or to do like a search, an AI search or a Google search, and check with if there are any state, county, or municipal requirements for maintenance. The reason I tucked that in there is that it's about stormwater and about backflow. So you don't see a lot in declarations or bylaws, things like stormwater or backflow, which is the backflow device on your irrigation meters if you have them. But your municipality probably has some requirements for inspections and they are a minimal cost. So it's something to consider as you're looking at what your HOA's maintenance requirements are. Okay, so a quick look at this is just a section of what a maintenance section looks like in the bylaws. It's gonna, this one was pulled from a really kind of typical maintenance plan that we see, and it tells the board that they have the authority to make a maintenance plan and describes what the elements of that maintenance plan are. Now, I'm not going to dwell on that long because yours looks different, and I don't want to focus too much on this specific example, but go to your bylaws, and it will likely have a section that outlines if you have a requirement to have a maintenance plan and what your association requires to be in it. All right, so next, planning the project. Once you know what you have to do, you got to figure out how to do it. What I want to focus on for this, there's a lot of detail in this, and our guests could probably, describe this section much better than I can. But the main thing we wanted to share with our board volunteers today is that planning doesn't start when you walk out and see paint peeling. Planning doesn't start when you see a gutter falling or a fence having gaps in it. Planning starts long before there's a maintenance need. And for micro HOA, our recommendation is that planning starts in your budget cycle. Planning starts annually in your budget cycle. So that means for board volunteers, for the asphalt ceiling, of your driveway area that you need next June, you're going to be planning that before Thanksgiving, because you're going to need to know what funds you need and how that impacts the HOA budget for the next year. Because what you don't want to do is end up next June without a plan for the funds to do the project when that's needed. So maintenance planning starts a long time before there's a maintenance need. And we want to bring that to your attention, and we will bring that to your attention again this year when we do our massive budget season with you from Micro HOA. If you are one of those associations that has a reserve study or has the need for reserve planning, the maintenance plan is calendared in advance. So that reserve study can be very helpful in many ways. But in terms of your planning the maintenance project, in that reserve study, there's going to be a calendar of maintenance. And so you're going to have a look ahead at what is coming up for you, especially for those bigger capital projects like roofs and driveways and roads and things of that nature. So we will be doing a reserve study and planning webinar separately. There is so much information that we could help you with on this. That's going to be in early September, ahead of this year's budget planning cycle. But for now, just that message, maintenance planning starts in the budget cycle. Then when you are starting to plan the project, there are two, tools that you need. One of them is a scope of work, and the other one is a request for proposal. We have both of these templates set up for our board volunteers. They're in your portal, in your association's portal, in your document library under board resources. A scope of work template is in there. This is an image of what it looks like. And it is essentially is the who, what, when will describe what needs to happen. The association wants to replace 450 feet of linear feet of fence. And it's going to describe, and it's going to, that form will walk you through how you can help to, organize together what the project is going to look like. So that template is there for you in your board resources. The second thing is to develop, once you know what the project is, then you have to ask for contractors to bid on it. Then you're going to need to have the next document, which is a request for proposal. And that's an RFP. An RFP is a document that you send out to contractors so to request formal proposals for your project. This belongs on big and small projects. The purpose of the RFP is to standardize your estimating, to standardize the information that you are going to request from potential vendors, and to make sure that they're providing you with all the information you really need to make a decision. The RFP organizes that bidding and then, has it so that you guys can make your decisions more easily. There is also a template project maintenance project RFP in your board resources. So it walks you through every detail of putting that RFP together. All right, so those are a couple of tools that we have to help you get that work done a little more easily. And then once you have those RFPs set up, then you got to get it out there. You got to get bids for the project. And that's where we're going to shift over to our guests. But one of the last thing that I'm going to offer here is that it is so important to solicit multiple bids for your projects. And this is about not only making sure that you're getting, a really solid idea of what things are going to cost, but this is to protect you as a board member. There is some responsibility and liability in so many things you do as a board volunteer. But when you are looking at hiring a contractor, it is important to have, minimum three different estimates to look at. And maybe, a couple of our guests can, address that in more detail when we hand over the presentation to you. But 3 bids minimum is what you're looking for. Okay. And then coming to selecting them once you have those bids. Selecting the right contractor is literally one of the biggest responsibilities that you'll have. It's going to make your life easier to have a great one. It's going to protect you and the association more to have help in selecting them. And it's going to take some of the long-term risk out of that selection process. If there's ever a dispute about who chose what, it happens sometimes in associations, y'all. It happens where somebody says, why did you choose that person? They did a terrible job and we want to know how you chose them. And if you are going carefully through that planning process, doing a scope of work, putting out RFPs, getting estimates, and potentially bringing in a vendor sourcing or vendor management platform like our guests here today, you're going to be protected on something a term you hear all the time in association management, the business judgment rule. And that basically means, did you do everything you could to make this go well? Did you take steps to ensure that the association and the board's decisions were solid and based on good collection of information? So that's why we wanted to bring that up, because that could, having clear process, having clear bids and estimates will help, but also getting some support in selection is going to be a big protection, and also just make your life easier. So why get support? That's why you guys are the brave souls helping run your associations, and we want to connect you with 2 of our partners that can help you do that. First of all, Thumbtack, which we already met Jeremy and Joey, and they're going to present something to you. And then after that, Sally from On Call Pro is just going to show you some easier ways to find and manage the vendors that work for your association. All right. We got a few questions in the chat. I think we're going to save those for the end. And Jeremy, if I can hand it over to you, you can just tell me how to navigate through the slides.
Sure.
Okay.
Uh, Thank you so much. Yeah, so Thumbtack, yeah, technology leader. You can go to the next slide, actually. We'll kind of get into, and this, I think the question in there that Marilyn had will kind of get Sally put a response in there, but it'll kind of help out. Um, and I'll kind of go off script here just to kind of I want to hit that because that is a big thing. Is one thing that and for those if anyone didn't read it, was asking about like specific pricing and stuff like that. The things that we're going to cover in this that Thumbtack is really going to help you guys with is one, what Sean just mentioned, the taking liability off your plate, easing up your time, so you're not like trying to source vendors as much, making that process easier when you get the RFP and you need three bids. You don't have to try and search all over or ask, and just filling in like where if you guys don't have a vendor, maybe you have some that you work with. You have a roofer that you've worked with for 20 years that does all of your communities. That's great. You don't need to switch roofers, but if they're busy or they retire or for whatever need, we've got lots of different options. So um, really the at high level, if you have not checked out thumbtack.com, I would highly suggest it just to kind of get familiar with it. It's a pretty simple, user-friendly platform. And it's basically we are connecting customers, be it residents of your communities, people on the board, common area, large, whatever. I mean, anybody that needs to hire somebody can find someone on Thumbtack. And as you can look through here, it's free for customers. And it's also free for our pros to be on the platform. So they don't pay any listing fees, they don't pay any like admin fees or anything. So we truly are built on making sure that we have a good experience for our customers, the people that are submitting the leads, providing them with good pros, making it easy, as well as with our our pros that are coming to Thumbtack for leads. We want to make sure that we're providing them with good quality leads. If they're not getting good quality leads, they're going to leave, go somewhere else. So that's kind of our basis. And really the customer experience, as you can see here, they're going to find a pro. They're going to go through, the customer drives that journey. So they're going to be the ones that select the pro. It's not Thumbtack saying, hey, you've put in a search of, here's a zip code, here's what you need, and we're going to send it out to a bunch of multiple pros. We don't do that. We allow, whether it's you guys submitting it for a common area or it's a resident submitting for something inside their home or whatever, we're going to let them decide. You can go to the next slide.
Before you do,
Oh,
actually, Jeremy, one thing I do want to add is, I think Jeremy said it, the customer is driving this experience, but the one thing I'll add is that we'll match you with a pro who matches what your job is specifically needing with what they want to do. So I like to say it's like the Tinder of home services. You'll answer, as you can see from this slide, you'll answer a bunch of questions. The pro is going to answer those same exact questions. So you're getting pros that only do your jobs and they're going to be wanting your jobs. So that's the only thing I'll add before we go to the next slide, Jeremy. Thanks.
yep. So here you can see this is the big stuff. So we have 300,000 plus pros. We're nationwide, so we're all across the United States, and our pros are background checked. One of the big things and things that you'll hear a lot in the industry is the term vetted. Everybody has a different terming or terminology, description, or whatever of vetted. Some are like it's fully like insurance, this, like to the max. Other ones, it's like, hey, we're just checking on them. We will hit a portion of it in a later slide about our guarantee. But one thing is our pros, everyone that signs up to be a pro on Thumbtack to take leads is background checked. They are able to upload their licenses. They're not all uploading their license, even though they are licensed, but we are incentivizing them to do that more often. So you'll see when you go into Thumbtack and do a search, it'll pull up certain pros, and there's a little pill that'll say licensed. It doesn't, if they don't have it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have licensing. They just haven't uploaded it, but we are incentivizing them to get that and making that more prevalent. So that's one of the big things that be interesting to you guys. We have like 500 plus categories, so you can find us for pretty much anything that you want to hire somebody for. Any type of service. I believe about 230 of them are in the home services category. So well equipped to take care of any service that they may need. And then you can see the 5-star reviews, 7 million projects. The money back guarantee, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. So we'll just tease it here and then go to the
Thank
next
you.
one. Did somebody have a question? Or just a non-muted? Okay.
Yeah, I've got a question if you have a second.
Yeah.
In using Thumbtack, is there a way to limit the distance? I put in I was looking for a pro to swap out some lighting, exterior lighting fixtures, and of course the person that responded was by mileage probably close to 70, 80 miles away. uh it's a mountain community, so we're used to having people come 20, 30 miles, but of course there wasn't a trip charge, but the cost for swapping out each fixture was pretty high. Is there a way within Thumbtack to limit the search for a pro to 15, 20 miles, something like that?
So what you'll do, Joe, that's a great question. What you'll do is and this will be something as you guys are doing it for communities. We geo-target to so it'll typically pull up your zip code that you're by your IP address. So it'll pull up a zip
Right.
code. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to do the zip code, and it confirms it at the end when you're submitting. So it'll confirm the zip code, but you need to put in the zip code that where the job's taking place. And our pros, when they sign up, they go in and they can do it by zip code or they can do it by like a radius, but they're going to tell
Yeah.
us, hey, these are the areas I travel to.
Right.
Now, if it's a mountain community and it's far away, yeah, they might not charge you a trip charge, but they add it into the fees a little bit
Right.
to cover
Yeah.
that. But in most cases, yeah, you'll just want to make sure you put the zip code
Yeah.
to make sure that
And
you're
I
getting.
I had put the zip code in, but yeah, they were they were a ways away.
Yeah,
But
and that could be if it's a mountain community, it might just be like there's not a lot of people nearby.
Yeah,
there
and
aren't. Yeah.
Joe, I would also say this is where I would, double down on what Sean said earlier. Like multiple quotes is going to be better, right? Like
Yeah.
as Jeremy said, the radius is actually set by the pro. So if you got a pro on Thumbtack who is 80 miles away, it's because that pro said we'll take that job. Where
Yeah.
like if there's multiple pros, I would, reach out to multiple pros on Thumbtack, and that's certainly a possibility too. Once you
Okay.
submit it to one pro, Thumbtack will automatically open a window saying, do you want to send it to more pros who would accept this job? And you can click
Ah,
I think, up to five. Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, you can send it to up to five pros on Thumbtack.
okay. All right. Well, thank you. That helps. I'll try that in the future.
Yeah, no, great question. Um, Really, and I kind of touched on this at the beginning, but what we're trying to do with micro HOA as well as the rest of the HOA industry, where we're trying to make it your lives easier is one, removing liability. Two is going to be making it easier, quicker to get those maintenance and repairs done, and finding the pros, local pros that can do the job, finding licensed pros, and finding it easily. Like not even if you were to go, let's just say, do a Google search. You do a Google search, and then great, you have a list of pros, but now you've got to go and check with each of those pros and see you're putting all your information of the job in up front with Thumbtack, and then we're matching you with pros that have said, yes, I do all of those things. And so then you're just provided a list of pros that you can just pick from. So it's really to save time, take that liability, and make it easier.
And Jeremy, I'm going to jump in and add one thing right there. If there's one thing, probably the main pain point that our small HOAs have is that they're small. And, some of the typical contractors look at their business and go, oh, that's too small for us, or we don't, or we're not going to do that for you. So, yeah, James was what I'm going to say. He's dropped in the chat. It's hard to find them. And so the one of the reasons we wanted to bring this, option to you guys, our boards, is that these vendors on Thumbtack, they want the business, right? They're pursuing getting the business. And they have, and Jeremy and Joey, you can speak to this better than me. They have some, obligation within the Thumbtack system to respond. Is that correct? Or that kind of tracks how they respond? Yeah.
Yeah, so we track response time from when they get a lead to when they first respond to the lead in their Thumbtack inbox. And if they want to write, that's one of the things, we don't charge anybody. There's no sponsor. You can't buy your way to the top. So if they want to rank high on our ranking list, they're going to have to be one of the quick responders. among other things. But that's how they're going to get more leads and whatnot. And we do have somebody for everybody. We have all the way from Chuck in a truck, which is not going to be typically you guys, but might be more so on the residents if they're just looking for somebody to come and do a little handyman project in their house or something like that, all the way up to like multi-state businesses, franchises, stuff like that, that are going to be able to be more well equipped for like the common area jobs.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll add too is Jeremy said earlier that we have over 500 categories. So if you're using, the search function for landscaping and, it's really a small job, it might be worth trying a different category. A lot of our functions do have a say anything, and it'll pull up what it thinks is the best category. So often try that too.
Cool. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to jump to our demo. Jessica is going to pull up real quick. We've got the Thumbtack search on the microHOA.com website for you guys. And so Jessica, if you want to, I think you have screen permissions if you want to pull that up.
Just sent a request.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. And this is plugged in right there. It's not on your portals yet. It's not actually in your association portals yet. We are working on that with our software partner. But we do have this right on the microHOA.com website for you.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Still looking at
There
the
we go.
slide.
All right, one more time. There we go.
You guys at the top of your screen, if for everybody on here, if you can't see that maintenance made easier for micro HOA communities slide, look at the top of your screen and select Jessica McDermott's screen.
All right. So right at microHOA.com, if you select the resources page here, it takes you straight to this search feature for Thumbtack. So say that I want to find a landscaper in Oregon. Put in my zip code. And then it pulls up top landscapers near you. So you can reach out directly. You can see more pros. And it will pull up. I'll ask you some kind of leading questions here to find out what your needs are so that you can make a better match. How much work do you need? So small changes. We're ready to hire within a week. And then it gives you the option here, get quotes from your top 3 matches would be a great option if you want to get those 3 bids in, or viewing profiles of specific landscapers. It tells you their estimated response time, their rating, if they have an on-site fee or not. So really great feature. All I did here, and on the left-hand side, you can, change your search filters to be more specific. We want to landscape the front yard. We want to add some hardscaping, and you can see based on those, it kind of matches you
Filters.
with the best
Yeah,
vendors.
it'll filter that list down.
What's that, Jeremy?
It'll filter the list down. So that's where like the pros are saying, oh, I don't do hardscape. It'll pull them out if you do hardscape. And if you look at this before and without answering those little questions on the left, when you get to you pick a pro, you'll eventually get in there, you'll answer those questions. And then if that pro doesn't do that, it'll filter it out and then it'll provide you with the list of pros that do. But that get 3 quotes is those top 3 there. It's a great way to make your life really easy.
Really easy and really organized. Notice it had the response times on there, and it had, just all the things that we want to make you got to do this for your own home. You got to do it for the HOA. You might as well get a source to make it easier for you. Okay, so in the interest of making sure we have time for Sally and On Call Pro, I'm actually going to ask Jessica if I can grab the screen again and ask Jeremy and Joey if you would just please speak to this Thumbtack guarantee thing, because we know that's going to be very meaningful to our boards.
Yeah, so this is I kind of touched on it a little bit. You can see here, basically we have a $2,500 no questions asked. If they're not happy with the job, they will reach out. We have a team, our trust and safety team, that works at kind of as a mediator between the customer and the pro to try and figure it out, like make sure it gets, everything's taken care of. Our pros, because they want to continue to receive leads from us, if there's an issue that they won't fix, they don't get leads from us. So they want to do it. So our team's very good at getting this resolved. But in the instance that the pro doesn't resolve it, we will step in and take care of it. That's the liability portion. So $2,500, hey, I didn't like the job. Great. Come back. The $100,000 guarantee, which we call our Thumbtack guarantee, is up to $100,000 in damages. And so we'll step in there. And then this one's not really publicly, we don't put it out on our site or anything, but we do have a general liability policy that covers well above that. So just rest assured that if anything goes wrong, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I hired somebody from Thumbtack off the portal, went wrong, you send them to Thumbtack. If you have, you can do the support, but if they have questions, Joey or I will always take an email. Just let us know and we can get that taken care of, get it resolved for them.
That's the kind of backup I want you guys to have. So thank you, Jeremy and Joey, very much for rolling through that and explaining those things. I'm going to ask you to hang out for just a few more minutes in case we have some questions at the end. And so if you guys have questions for Jeremy and Joey, drop them in the chat. We're going to transition to our next guest and our next resource for you guys, which is if vendor resourcing isn't all you need, if you need someone who is going to really help on a more a bigger basis than that, On-Call Pro is going to be a great solution for you. And Sally, I'm going to ask you to take it away.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. Again, Sally Hamidi. I really built this platform to address the operational pain points of maintenance. I know this firsthand because I'm also a board member. I've managed properties, and this is by far the one thing that is time consuming and frustrating, both from vendor procurement and liability and tracking and making sure there's data, because in today's world, we need to make data-driven decisions. Do we have all of the information from years and years ago? Or is it in someone's email? Is it in someone's spreadsheet? How are we tracking these bids? How are we project managing? And so we wanted to create really a platform that's your maintenance engine, centralizing everything that has to do with HOA maintenance in one platform to keep you all organized, whether it's vendors you find on Thumbtack or Google or wherever. We want to track maintenance data so that everyone in your community can make good decisions, based on facts and data. So we can, I guess, go through this. I'm happy to demo the platform for anybody who is interested in seeing how this beautiful platform works, but it is very robust. You can create work orders, assign it to your preferred vendors. You can create bids, track all the bids in one place, have the boards vote on the bids, create the projects, make sure the vendors are updating them. And so our system essentially brings it all under one roof, which is a platform that really is designed for HOA management. So we're saying essentially, look, let's take all of these things in your emails, your memory, your Google spreadsheets, papers here, warranties, all of these things, messages, even surviving the board members, somebody sells. How did you make this decision to hire this person? Well, now you have this really nice ecosystem that pulls all the data together and can survive both the management software and board transitions. And it really just works with you and learns your association as you put things in place for your association. One thing I love about the platform is that it tracks your asset life cycle. What does that mean? Much like the survey Sean presented to us, you've got roofing, you've got decks, fence, structural supports. How are these assets being tracked? When do we make these decisions? When is it due? Well, guess what? We have a platform that's designed to execute on those decisions and keep the board members alert and informed. So, you can create these bids under one platform. Again, you can go to the Thumbtack vendors or anybody else that you have worked with before. But what we're saying is, let's maintain this information about everything that's maintenance, asset management, all of that in one system, because this is going to be your single source of truth. And we want the board members to make decisions that are backed by data. So we can go on to the next slide. I think someone had, well, I don't know. I'm going to wait for the questions until after the meeting.
Yeah, we'll do that, Sally, for sure.
Super. So I sit on a board, as I mentioned, and I know one of the things that we spend the most time on is who's going to call which vendor, how are we going to triage things, who's following up, did we get the work order right, is there an invoice, are there photos? Well, guess what? This system is going to require all of the vendors that touch your property to submit photographs as well as reports before they're allowed to send a single invoice to MicroHOA. Why? Because we want to limit liability and risk for the association. And we want to save you all time. If you have a preferred vendor that you like to call out for, say, plumbing, we can customize the platform to call the plumber for you, saving you a ton of time. We're also centralizing the information. So every single thing, all the historical data, all of the photos from a project you did 3 years ago will be in one place. Same thing with reserve studies, same thing with all the bids. Everything is going to be in one place, keeping you organized. And the last benefit here is visibility. I mean, oftentimes, and even now with our own association, but we switched to this platform, but we had no visibility. Nobody was really talking about being proactive on asset lifecycle management. And really, I mean, once you upload a reserve study, there's no hiding anymore. Our system is really designed to keep you all aware and make sure you know that this is coming down the pipeline and you got to start getting bids. So that's the really amazing part of this. And then, yeah, the sign up process is super easy. We can connect to MicroHOA. In fact, all of the MicroHOA clients are in our system. So all you need to do is just send me an email and I can walk you through the process. Super simple. If you have a vendor list that you already work with, we can upload them. If you have other customizations, reserve studies that are a little nuanced, we can work with you on that. But really, this is meant to almost take over even emergency calls. If you set this thing up correctly, it will call your preferred vendors so that you don't have to chase these emergencies and wonder who to call. If this person doesn't happen, we have backups. So very robust system. Again, it's a maintenance management platform. It goes way beyond vendor procurement. We're tracking their performance as well, obviously, but it's really there to keep everyone engaged and aware of what's going on in the HOA. So yeah, feel free to shoot me an email and I can set up a demo for you and the rest of the board.
It's a really very thorough and impressive system that Sally has designed, and she has that founder's dedication to making it work for her customers, which is especially a particular reason we wanted to bring On-Call Pro to you all, is we know that she's dedicated to making it work for you. And then I can't say enough. I know I see people on here from California and Florida and Oregon and Washington and Virginia, and places that I know have really stringent reserve study requirements. That I mean, that's one thing that we are just that the On-Call Pro platform is particularly well suited to support, because as I said, one of those things is like, you get that, you spend that money on that reserve study, and then you've got, you forget to look at it, for 5 years and be like, oh, we've got two, component items that have to come up. To have a maintenance platform like this, where you've plugged your reserve study plan and calendar in, is can be a big asset for you guys as the current board volunteers, and for whoever comes to you after. We'll have Sally's contact. And so we want to, if you want to connect with her, grab this. We'll have this available to all our boards afterwards. We'll have the presentation for you, but we'll also have that contact for you. So all right, some Q&A. What do we have? Who's got a question for our panelists?
Jack just asked if on-call was an additional cost.
It's free for HOAs and management companies. The reason for this is because our platform is designed to work with vendors. We have a field service management software that plugs in natively into the system. So we get our fees from subscriptions from vendors, from processing fees if they're transacting business with the HOA, but the bills are all paid by MicroHOA, and the platform remains free of charge for associations.
Thank you. Great question. What else do we have? Jeremy's answering some things in the chat, some really common questions. I've got a lot of, it's funny, I've been talking to a lot of board recently who aren't with us yet, who are having the same problems. Small towns that have difficulty accessing vendors. I just really have to say, I think Thumbtack's going to be a great asset, even if just because if people are out there looking for work, that's where they're going to be. Is that fair to say, Jeremy? If they're out there?
And I kind of put in there, I mean, there are still some areas that are like, if they're way out there, or, in towns where it's like, oh, the town has one plumber and he's plumbed every house in or, hey, my grandpa taught me everything I need to know about anything, so I do it all anyway. Like, those areas are going to be less because there's not going to be a demand for pros. And so not many pros are going to sign up. That kind of comes into like what I used to do before coming over here. Was I used to bring pros on. And so I would run a report, and I would tell them like, hey, these are how many leads have come in. And some of them, there'd be like, one lead in the last 30 days. But those are going to be like your like outliers. They're going to be like very small areas. If you're anywhere near a metro or anything, like, you're going to have a lot of pros there.
We have questions about payments on here. We certainly can. We have a new invoice submission guide to help all of our board volunteers understand what that process is. Boy, oh boy, do vendors ever want to get paid fast. Sometimes it's just the individual contractor. We can always figure out if they can submit an invoice in advance and they need a quick, advance payment, or if we need to do a reimbursement. I think somebody on here said they need to be paid in cash, or they need to be paid by Zelle. Then we've accommodated all manner of things like that, right, Jessica?
Correct.
Yeah. But we will, we want you to get your work done, and we're gonna find a way to make those things happen. All right. That's all I'm saying. Oh, good. Good. Dropping contact info in the chat. Thank you. You guys can grab that out of there. All right. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Jessica, if I miss anything, let me know. We are coming right up to time, and I want to talk about what's coming up. This is, I hope, a great resource to you. We're going to continue to have it available, the information available to you on our website, in your portals, and through our other communication channels. We've got a board newsletter going out with more maintenance connections on there very soon. Coming up, though, you guys, a couple of things I want to remind you of. Our July webinar is on delinquencies and collections in small HOAs. This is a huge pain point, I know, for a lot of you right now. And so we're going to have our collections partner, Excella, on that webinar, as Jeremy and Joey and Sally have joined us today. They're just going to talk to you guys about understanding the very fluid and unfortunately difficult topic of delinquencies and collections. One thing that, because you guys are here for the maintenance webinar, I want to draw your attention. In early September, we are going to have a reserve study and planning education session like this. And I think that's a really natural follow-up for those of you who have big common elements and obligations, and have even a reserve study already in place. We want to help you learn how to use it better, how to keep it funded better, and how to plan it in case you don't have one. So that's going to be huge. And I think that I think Sally's even maybe going to join us for that as well, I hope, because that's she can really be a help there. Then more to come. Next month's board portal training is Monday, July 20th, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And then we are looking ahead to fall budget season as well. That's what's coming up from MicroHOA. All right, because you're here, you get party favors. And the party favors from today are in your portal. And also, Jessica, I hope I'm not springing this on you too late, but if you have those documents, that SOW and RFP templates, if you can add them to the chat so anybody who wants a copy of those can download them.
Yes,
they're also already in your board resources in your portal. They're very well organized, clean, clear, and I hope they'll be helpful to you. Online party favors, MicroHOA website, our small talk blog with all kinds of issues that are important to you as you navigate leadership of your small communities. And then right here also is a link to the Thumbtack search on the microhoa.com website, and then a link to how to reach On Call Pro through an online link. So grab that there, or grab Sally's info from the chat. You guys, we also have a YouTube channel now. It just feels impossible for little MicroHOA, but I know that's what we do now. And so this video and little snack bites from it will be available on YouTube if you ever need to have a look at it. Thank you sincerely, Jeremy, Joey, and Sally, for taking the time with our boards today. And you guys, I know Sally means it. If you want a demo of her platform, I'm sure she'd be happy to do that. Yikes, I always hate to say this, but follow us on social media, please. We need to get our word out. We are truly looking out for the little guys, the little associations. And the more people who connect with us, the more people we can reach with our really, low cost, high value service. We're on a mission, so please help us there if you can. We try to make it valuable, and we'll make it more valuable. And then thanks. Thanks for being with MicroHOA. Thanks for making the time today. And then let us know how we can help. And that's it. Class dismissed.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Aw.
All right.